Hey everyone, welcome back to Attack on Productions. Fluff here. It's been a while. I'm just now kind of getting in and being able to dabble with Set 9. I had work obligations that's kept me away. I'm starting to slowly but surely get back into the game, kind of get a feel for it. I went and played my first locals this past weekend. I'm still trying to get a feel for what I really like in this set, but one of the big things that I was excited for was Universe 11. I loved it back when Tournament of Power came out, and I've every set that has come out since, I always revisit U11 and see what we can do to make it better, to see if it's even viable. And I feel like this is the first time that it's even half viable. Now, I do want to kind of put out the caveat that I don't think this is a tier 1 deck. I think this finds itself at a tier 1-5, kind of edging on tier 2. The reason that I say that, this deck really likes to play the long game, so it could have a very difficult matchup against something like Janemba or Cooler, but then also Frieza. The new blue-red Frieza just obliterates this deck. Anything that ignores barrier and reduces life or reduces battle power just eats this deck alive. I know at the Tournament of Power, a couple people topped with variations of this deck. I didn't want to profile that variation. I wanted to kind of give my own take on it. And I was running it very pure. After testing, I decided that I like it a little bit more, focused a little more heavily on Successor, the new mechanic. So maybe I will test with the variant that topped, but I wanted to make a deck that focused on U11. I didn't want to focus on what was ultimately the best yellow-green deck with a leader that lets you survive 3 extra turns pretty much. But getting into the deck profile, we've got the leader on the front side, Jiren. Auto, choose 1 card in your life, add it to your hand. When this card attacks, you choose 1. You either draw 1 and this card gains 5,000 power for the turn, or you choose 1 Universe 11 card in your hand with an energy cost of 2 or less and play it. This is very reminiscent of the hit leader from set... don't be mad at me if I say this wrong. I think it's set 8. It's very reticent of that type of effect. But it's also really good to get the other effect to draw. It just all depends on what you need. It's very fluid. I find a lot of people will try to zerg you down as fast as possible to get you into your 4, to make you rely on having to take a life to survive. But then once you're at 4 life, you may draw 1 card, choose 1 of your energy, switch it to rest mode, or switch it to active mode, and flip the card over. On its backside, on its awakened side, when it attacks, you draw 1 and it gains 5,000 for the turn. But more interestingly is activate battle. Let's see. Choose 1 card in your life, add it to your hand until the start of your next main phase. As long as you have a Universe 11 card in your hand, you don't take damage from your opponent's attacks. So you just need 1 Universe 11 card on the field, and his effect goes off. Now, rulings on this. So if you did it on your turn, as soon as you end battle, it's your next main phase, it stops. On your opponent's turn, if you activate it and then your opponent negs everything on the field and you lose all U11s on your field, he's no longer protected. So a U11 has to be on the field to get that working. But it's really easy to flood the field with this deck, so I'll kind of get into it and show you the meat and potatoes of that deck. I'm going to leave the leader there. So we're going to start off. We play 3 of the Kunchi Threaded Energy. I didn't feel like this was was merited at a 4 of. They're very easy to find. They're very easy to replay if they get put into the drop area. There's just a ton of recursion with 1-drops in this deck, and I think it's very rare that you actually need to play a 4 of on any of these, because you basically have access to that whole toolkit from the beginning of the game. So basically, he gives all U11 with energy cost 2 or less. He gives them barrier, 5,000 free, 5,000 combo. Great card. Could play it at a 4. I think it's fine at a 3. Next 1-drop is going to be Vaughn Dynamite Blaster. This is just a 1-drop blocker, 5,000. I play 2 of these. You could play more, but kind of the same thing with the Kunchi. You don't really need as many of them. Resolving 1 or 2 casseroles in a game is going to get you all you need for the duration of the game. So we do play 2 of these because they're easy to search out. As long as they're not live, we've got access to them. On the green 1-drops, I play 1 Cocotte. Technique Unleash. This is here for one reason and one reason alone. It lets you have a Universe 11 on the field with Jiren. So that's one aspect of it. The other is to help you modulate. If you need, say you have 9 energy on the field and you need to successor 10, you can activate her, get her to the field. Now you have successor 10. Or if you have successor 8 but need successor 9, you can use her to modulate your numbers. We just want her to 1 of. We need no more than that. And most of the time we don't even need her. My other 1-drop is the Topo Gaze of Justice. I was playing this guy at a 4. I think he would be worth a 4, but he has the limiter of his effect can only be activated once per turn. So when you play him, or when he's sent to the drop area by a skill, your opponent discards 1 card. But you can only do that once per turn. Now, per topo. So if you had multiple topos on the field, you could do it. But it's 2 of, perfectly fine. Forgive the proxies. They're on the way. I just don't have them yet. I played with them at our locals and really liked them. Jiren, Pride of Universe 11. This card is nuts. Without this card, the deck plays a completely different game. With this card, it opens so much possibility. So basically, his sole purpose is to discard him from the drop area to play 2 of your Universe 11s with an energy cost of 1. And you basically play them from the drop area, but their effects are negated for the turn. So really, if you lost both of your Vaughn in the turn before, you use Jiren to play them. If you lost a Vaughn, only 1 Vaughn, you could maybe grab a Vaughn and a Topo, or a Vaughn and a Kunchi. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be the same name. They don't have to be different names. So you discard this from your hand. It's at a must-have. I think you have to play this at a 4 of in this deck. Absolutely amazing. Next, I run 3 of the Binary Blade Casserole. Debatably, this card could be at a 4 of. With the number of 1-drops that I do have in this deck, resolving 1 or 2 casseroles over the course of the game gets me access to all the 2-drops that I need, or all the 1-drops that I need. So his effect, when you play him, or when he's removed from a skill, or removed from the battle area by a skill, you choose one Universe 11 card with an energy cost of 1 or less from your deck, play it with its skills negated for the duration of the turn. So basically, we're going to use this to find out and get access to our 1-drop blockers and our 1-drop barrier cards. I will pretty much hard mulligan for one of these because I want to be able to play one of those, find a Kunchi, play out, and then try to successor, drop the casserole, use its effect to find a Vaughn, and just get going from there. But you could play a 4. I find 4 is a little clunky and you just don't need it. Next, at a 4 of, the MVP of the Universe 11 engine is Hero Combination Zoyre. I will throw these guys out as fast as I can. As fast as I can find them, I will play them. I pretty much always prioritize this as an energy, unless I'm playing against something that is going to just get rid of it immediately. Once per turn, if you have another Universe 11 in play, he's not destroyed by battle. So you get to constantly... If you have multiple of these guys on the field, basically your opponent is going to have to dedicate 6 attacks to getting these guys off the field. It's just an insane amount of investment that your opponent has to put against removing these little guys, but these will protect your life. So if you have enough of these, you don't even have to use the leader's effect to save your life from being struck with like quad strike or triple strike. You can just use these to protect yourself. So 4 of those have to. Our multicolor 2-drop is 3 of the Topo Bestower of Justice. He has Barrier, Energy Exhaust, Permanent, increase the energy cost of this card by 2. So it doesn't specify where that increase is applied to. So it is only applied while he's on the field. In your hand, he's a 2-drop. So the leader can free play him. The 3-drop Jiren can play him from your hand if you need another target after getting one of your blockers back. But we play 3 of these. One of these, turn 1, with a yellow energy is a free dispo on the field. And usually you'll free play this, swing, successor for dispo, and then get your draws going from there. I think it's just nuts seeing this guy. Could be a 4 of, but deck space was kind of tight. Super combos are the key bomb support coat. I can 100% make a argument for running a 2/2 of the key bomb support coat and 2 of the Dr. Jiren super combos. The Dr. Jiren will help you put your 1-drops in the drop area if you are missing a casserole, or you're not able to get to one of your pieces. You can put it into the drop area for recursion later. But I do like the 4 draws. I love having 4s. This kind of bites me in the butt against stuff like Boo, where it prevents you from drawing for the turn, except for non-leader skills. But we play that at a 4 of because super combos. Our last 2-drop is going to be the Anzilla, the sparring Colossus. I don't know what his effect does. It's not bad, but we have this because we want to get rid of the energy exhaust with multicolor. So if I charge a multicolor turn 1, these are instant charges throughout the game, but I think their effect is still pretty good too. So once per turn, you choose 1 green or yellow multicolor card in your hand, place it in your drop area. Then you choose 1 card in your opponent's combo area and place it in the owner's warp area, or owner's drop area, sorry. So this is a good way to get rid of combo cards when your opponent's going through. I've never played this card onto the field. This is purely here because we need to have a couple green energy charged. Next, we've got 3 of the Jiren Righteous Leaders. These guys were what I would consider to be the old MVPs of this deck. He's a deflect, so he doesn't get hit by stuff like Denial of Hope or any of the typical counter plays that are played. So auto, if your leader card is a Universe 11, when you play this card from your hand, choose up to 2 Universe 11 cards from your hand and or drop area with different names with an energy cost of 2 or less and play them with their skills negated for the turn. So this is amazing for getting access to your blockers. It's amazing for getting access to the 2-drop topo that becomes a 4-drop later. It's amazing for getting into another casserole. Usually I will use this to grab 2 blockers or a blocker and a topo. Those are the most common sources for those. Run those at a 3 because you don't really want to be paying 3 energy unless it's for successor. But this is kind of an odd exception. And sometimes you can't even resolve this because everything's still on the field. Next, I run, kind of getting into the successor stuff, I play 4 of the Dispo Unprecedented Speed. This guy is nuts. So he's a successor 4. You pay 1 yellow. If your leader card is a Universe 11 card, when you play this card or it is placed in your drop area by a skill, draw 1. So I had a game yesterday where I played a topo. The next turn, I successored into Dispo. I had 3 Dispos in my hand. I was able to successor 3 times. So the first one is a draw 1. The second one is a draw 2. The third one is a draw 2. The fourth one is a draw 2. So I went from having like 3 cards in my hand to up to like 8 or 9 card hand. This is amazing. Should be at a 4 of. It's super easy to play. It's barrier. It's hard to get rid of. It's 15,000. I almost never swing with it, but if I'm just trying to put on a little bit of extra pressure, you can. But I usually will use this as a stepping stone to get into other successor points, plus drawing. Next, we play 3 of the Topo Mortalities Surpassed. This guy's clutch. I tested a variant where I took him down to 2 and immediately wanted him back at 3. This is just good for getting rid of problem cards. It's good for making your opponent waste resources. It's just an all-around good card. So he's a successor 6. You pay 1 green, 1 yellow. When you play this card, or it is placed in your drop area from your battle area by a skill, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, negate this card's skill, then KO it. I oftentimes forget that his effect also activates if you use him for successor. So if your opponent has other things that, may disrupt the successor play that you're going into. Topo completely goes off again and maybe gets rid of a blocker or a problem card that might kill you next turn. Either way, this is amazing. I could almost make an argument to run him at 4, but 3 seems to be about right. This one I'm kind of testing. Super Saiyan Brawly All Out Assault. This guy has been a 4 of. I found the deck space to be incredibly tight, so I can only make it a 3 of. I don't arrival a ton in this deck, even though it is incredibly easy to do, especially with the recursion for the 1-drops. You can combo a 1-drop yellow, a 1-drop green, and successor or arrival him out. But basically, when you play this card, or he switched to active mode, this deck doesn't have a way to switch him back to active mode. You choose one of these effects. You choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost greater than or equal to their current energy and KO it, or you draw one. Then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. So if they have 1 standing energy, you can arrival, switch the energy, draw a card, or you can KO a problematic monster, as always. But this is another great stepping stone for some of the higher energy successor cards that we play. I run 2 of the Super 17 Hell's Storm Unleashed. A lot of decks want to play Protect the Hill right now, where they don't want anything striking them. This automatically puts any leader into range for your finisher cards. So play this. It instantly, when you play this card, choose cards in your opponent's life and place them in the drop area until there's 4 left. So if they're still sitting on 8, they lose 4. They just crit 4 life off the top. Plus, he's critical, 30,000, which is amazing. And then when this card attacks, draw 1, then choose 2 of your opponent's cards and switch them to rest mode. So if you're scared of a counterplay and you're getting ready to go into one of your bigger successor cards, you swing, auto draw, rest 2 energy, and now you're set up to go again. Whether your opponent combos or negates that attack or not, you've basically set yourself up to keep going. I love this card at a 2 of. I see it when I need it. It doesn't clog my hand. Kind of getting into the boss monsters of the deck. I play 2 of Jiren's Strength and Silence. I was originally playing some of the older Jiren stuff, the Jiren's Universe Strongest, which is the 12-drop, and then the Absolute Power Jiren, which was the 10-drop from Tournament of Power. I was kind of testing them back and forth. They're both situational in their own way. The 10-drop Jiren, you have to have a flooded field. If someone deals with your field, it's hard to play it off. This is a little bit easier because you only need like 2 cards that equal up to 10. But when you play him, you can get rid of 3 Universe 11 cards on your field or hand, and he's not affected by your opponent's skill. So they can't negate him. They can't drop the quad strike. They can't block him. They can't do anything to stop him. He's amazing. I've fallen in love with this, and I would love to find room to make him a 3. But the other thing that I play is the Zeno Cell. I was super bummed when I pulled this, and then I realized how good this card was. Free successor, dual attack, quad strike, drop 3 cards from your opponent's hand is just ridiculous. Oftentimes, this card is easily played on turn 3 or turn 4 in this deck. I will usually try to wait till turn 5 so I get those drops. Maybe it's after I've swung with a Jiren, or maybe it's after I've put on pressure with Topo or Super 17. But this guy is incredibly easy to get to in this deck. These are kind of our boss monsters. We draw enough that we should see one of those. I've never had a game where I just couldn't get into one of my win conditions. I do think I want to move this Jiren up to a 3 or add in one of the other Jirens just as kind of like a 4th alternate win condition. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that. So those are boss monsters. And then last but not least, our protection, Light Bullet. This card is so good in this deck. I think it's better than Flying Nimbus, honestly, because you don't lose hand advantage for playing it. You just have to tap 2 cards. And honestly, I can tap 2 things I don't care about, let my opponent try to run over them to keep me from going into successor, and the opponent can only make 1 more battle card attack. So I love it. 4 of doesn't really need it. I see them enough to get me through. Between Light Bullet, the Leader's Effect, and all the blocker, it's incredibly hard to get to this guy in a meaningful way. It's just a very long-lasting deck. Like I said, against the things that ignore barrier and just drop battle power, those are the real things that I have trouble with moving forward with this deck, but I've got a couple variants that I'm working on. Maybe I'll get those profiled. This is kind of where I'm sitting now. Maybe I'll build one that focuses less on successor and more on the traditional U11. And then maybe I'll focus on one that focuses more on just good green-yellow stuff that, you know, is closer akin to the tier 1 variant of this deck. I do have a Victory Strike variant that I would like to try. But we'll see what happens with that. I'm not going to make any promises. I just want to put that out there. It's good to be back. Thank you all so much. Like this video, dislike this video if you didn't like it. I know I've kind of rambled a bit, but I'm trying to get back into the swing of it. Thank you guys again. Tune in, subscribe. We'll be back at you later. And as always, fluff out.
There's also a video tomorrow for Tanner's profile.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Tanner has a thing tomorrow. Watch it.
It was a third place Swiss.
Third place Swiss. Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. That was his, it's his weird thing.
His beer stick.
Yep. It's his weird beer stick. Watch it. Bye. Buff out.